Hello, good afternoon. I am Latika ma'am, who is going to take this first lesson from your supplementary reader, Moments. And the name of the chapter is The Lost Child. Okay. So I will just share the text with you. You can read it, listen to the text when I am reading it. Okay. So I hope you can see the screen. The name of the story is The Lost Child, and it is written by Mulk Raj Anand. Mulk Raj Anand is an Indian writer who writes about simple things of life. Okay? And these are stories which you can also relate to, which happens, which we see around happening in our daily life. All very small instances that we just take it for granted. We don't remember it so much, but we know that such things happen in real life. So we can relate and we know that such things happen in our lives or somebody else's life. We've heard of the same story in somebody else's life. So we'll just read through it. It is a very simple story. And some new words, when we come across some new words, I will just explain to you the meanings of these words. So from the story, we will do it in parts. In the first half, we will see a little boy who is going to a mela, a fair. Okay, there is a place where all the action of this story is taking place. So we will read the first part. I will explain any new words that we come across. I can explain to you. And once you finish the lesson, till where we've done, you can go and read that portion. We will come back and do the remaining part. So I will just read the lesson. The Lost Child. A child goes to a fair with his parents. He is happy and excited and wants the sweets and toys displayed there. But his parents don't buy them for him. Why then does he refuse when someone else offers to him? So it is a story about a little boy who, when he goes to a fair, everything he wants. Isn't that the normal thing we expect all small children? It's a very normal thing that any small child does. They want the toys, they want the sweets, they want to sit on the different rides that they can see in that fair. So a similar boy is main character of this story. It was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. Some walked, some rode on horses. Others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. So, from the wintry shades of narrow lanes, winter has just got over, and now it is the season of spring. So, after the cold, dull weather, spring has come. So, spring, the very word spring brings life, colorful trees, chirping birds. Okay, all these images are brought to your mind when you say spring. So festivity itself, the word spring comes to your mind. So it was during this season that the boy and his little family goes to a fair. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with life and laughter. So it is an age where he is full of life. He's running around the fair, so excited to see all these colorful things in the fair. Come, child, come, called his parents as he lagged behind, fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way. Lagged means his parents were walking in front, but he is still walking at the back. He's looking at the things around him, so he's not catching up with the speed of the parents. And he's fascinated, he's overwhelmed, by seeing the different toys and different articles in all these shops. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. So even though his feet is obeying the orders of his father to join them, his eyes are still looking. You can see now parents will drag their children along, but he's still turning back and looking at all the things he is passing through. As he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well knew the old cold stare of refusal in their eyes. So uh, he could not stop himself from asking, even though he knows the minute he asks, he will only get a cold stare from his father, which says it all. Okay? Just by the look of his father, he knows he will not buy it for him, even though he doesn't say it in so many words. I want that toy, he pleaded. His father looked at him, red-eyed, in his familiar tyrant's way. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the day, was tender and giving him her finger to hold, said, "Look, child, what is before you?" So she's trying to distract him. Don't look there, you see what is on this side of the fair. It was a flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. So all of you must have seen the mustard plant, which is a yellow flower, and when it blooms in the field, it looks like a big golden carpet, very colorful field once the flowers have bloomed. So she's trying to distract him and show him the field of mustard plants. A group of dragonflies were bustling around on their gaudy purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. So more than butterflies and blackberries, there were lots of dragonflies, which are making that buzzing sound, bustling about it, making that sound that it was encircling that whole area, intercepting the flight of. So in between, you can see this butterfly searching for nectar from the flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze, till one of them would still its wings and rest. So he was attracted by these little insects as well. So he kept looking at them and not stopping till the insect was taking rest. And he would try to catch it. So you've seen children trying to catch butterflies and moths. Okay, so the same way when he wanted to try and catch it. But it would go fluttering, flapping up into the air when he had almost caught it in his hands. So all these are imageries. You can actually see the language used by the writer. You know, the noise, the fluttering noise and the flapping of the wings, everything you can picturize the words and imagery used by the writer. When he had almost caught it in his hands. Then his mother gave a cautionary call. "Come, child, come onto the footpath." So she's calling him, come to the footpath. So he's gone outside to see these little insects. He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while. So till now he was at the back, now he's walking right in front before his parents. Being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. So even though he started walking in front, again he was distracted by these bees and insects which were coming out. All these things you must have seen, they will hide behind little leaves and stones. Okay, so now when these insects and bees are coming out when the sun has come out to enjoy the sunshine. "Come, child, come," his parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. So now, even his parents, after walking so long, even they are a little tired, so they thought they will rest in the shade of a grove where there was a well, and on the side of that well, they were sitting and waiting for him to join them. So he runs and joins them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove. And forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. So look at the imagery the author has used, raining petals. So that it is as if it is raining petals. So when so it shows that the trees were full of flowers. It is spring season. Okay, so just by all these little words, you can feel spring all around you. So many flowers. It is raining the petals once it's a little old, it is falling off the trees. But lo, he heard the cooing of doves and ran towards his parents shouting, the dove, the dove. The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. So children, their attention span is very short. Okay? So as he was gathering, the minute he heard the sound of the dove, he forgets the flowers. So that is left off and is running behind the flowers. So you've seen how his attention from different things is jumped up to the next one. First he was behind the toys, then he sees the flowers in the fields, mustard flowers, then he sees the insects and bees. Now he's found some petals and flowers. Later, he's heard the sound of the dove. Again, his attention goes to the birds, little birds. Come, child, come, they called to the child, who had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. So now his parents have come and taken him and said, okay, we will carry on, even though he was running around the banyan tree. So now they walk into the fair, which to reach which they have to cross through the mustard fields. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs converging to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. So as he is entering the footpath, he could see huge crowds of people. Okay, it was like a whirlpool. They are trying to enter the fair and fascinated by the confusion. So he's seeing so many people all at once. He's totally confused. What is happening? He is wondering. A sweet meat seller hawked gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi at the corner of the entrance, and a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many colored sweets decorated with leaves of silver and gold. So a sweet seller was shouting out all the items in his fair, okay? Gulab jamun and different varieties of sweets that he's kept on display. And the sweets were so colorful and decorated with silver and gold. The Bharat, you must have seen these sweets on top, you'll have these silver, those Kaju you must have seen the same thing. The child stared open-eyed, and his mouth watered for the barfi. That was his favorite sweet. I want that barfi, he slowly murmured. But he half knew as he begged that his plea would not be heeded because his parents would say he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. So even though he said, I want that, he's not waiting because he knows his parents will not buy it. Instead, they will accuse him of being greedy. A flower seller hawked a garland of gulmohar. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured, I want that garland. But he well knew his parents and would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. So he's seen so many things on the way. Okay? So even though he wants it, he will murmur to himself, but he knows he's not going to get it. His parents will not buy it. So he's accepting it and walking further along with his parents. A man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green and purple balloons flying from it. So on these melas, balloons will be hung and he's trying to tempt on these children. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken colors, and he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. So rainbow of colors, almost all the colors are hung on the poles. Okay? And as normal, the child also is fascinated by these colorful balloons. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on further. So you can see how the writer is telling you, these are the normal things that all parents, they will give you an excuse and the child has accepted, he's walking on further. A snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled itself in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan. So all of you must have seen the snake charmers, how they will cover the snake in a basket and carry it all over and then play that flute-like thing and try to make the snake dance. So similarly, he saw such a sight. While the music stole into its invisible ears, like gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. So as if it is the way it is dancing is as if it is hearing the music in such a ripple motion, as if the water is, you've seen the ripples of a water. So same way, the snake is also getting charmed as if it is the music that is charming it. But knowing his parents had, the child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such coarse music as the snake charmer played, he proceeded further. So he's got an excuse, he knows his parents have a fixed excuse for each type of, whatever he asks for, there is a standard reply from the parents. There was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women, and children carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzy laughter. So, roundabout here, they are talking about the merry-go-round, okay, which is a very common item in any fair or melas that you go for. So, he could see that people on that, as the speed increases, they will be shrieking and shouting. So, the same picture he was seeing over there, the dizzy laughter. So somewhere screaming with joy, somewhere screaming out of fear as the speed increases. The child watched him intently and then he made a bold request. I want to go on the roundabout, please. Father, mother. So now he's very stubborn. Okay, all the other things he knew his father will never give. Okay, but now this he wanted to sit on the merry-go-round. And so he asks his father. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there, ahead of him. He turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. A full, deep cry rose within his dry throat. And with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear, Mother, Father! Tears rolled down his eyes, hot and fierce. His face flushed and was convulsed with fear. Panic-stricken, he ran to one side first, then to the other, hither and thither, in all directions, knowing not where to go. Mother, Father, he wailed. His yellow turban came untied and his clothes became muddy. Having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated, his cries suppressed into sobs, loud crying. At little distances on the green grass, he could see, through his filmy eyes, men and women talking. Filmy eyes is after his crying, his eyes, it is not clear. Okay, so it's as if something is covering his view. He could see some men and women at a distance talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. So it's a male, they just want to make a lot of noise. So he's trying to see among these people, this is father and mother there. So suddenly after he reached this point, he found out that his parents are not next to him. He ran quickly this time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding. Shrine means temple. Okay, so even there he could see a lot of people crowding at the entrance. Every little inch of space here was congested with men. But he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. Mother, father. So he tried to find a way through it. through people's legs. He's a little boy, so through the legs also he was trying to get into the place. He's still crying. Mother, father is kept calling out to them. Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, heavy men with flashing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. So, as he was getting closer to the temple, he could find that at the entrance, the crowd was much more. The people pushing each other, trying to get inside, and very rudely looking at each other, pushing them here. Okay. The poor child struggled to thrust away between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements. He might have been trampled underfoot had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice, Father, Mother. So the men were so rude and there were such rude movements and pushing that he thought he would have got trampled under the feet of these people. So such was the crowd and pushing that was going on there. If they would have stamped on him had he not cried out Father, Mother in a loud voice. Only because of that they noticed that okay, there is a little boy in the middle of all this crowd. A man in the surging crowd heard him cry and stooping with great difficulty lifted him up in his arms. So one man seeing this little boy crying comes to him with a lot of trouble. He bends down because there's so many people he can't even bend down. There's no space to bend. Finally he managed to bend and then picked up this little boy and he asks him some questions. How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? The man asked as he stirred clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever. Now and only cried, I want my mother, I want my father. The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. Will you have a ride on the horse? He gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into 1,000 shrill sobs and he only shouted, I want my father, I want my mother. Okay. So we will stop here. So far you've just seen that the little boy has come to the fair and the different things he has passed through. So what you can do is please read till this page 4. Read from the beginning. Mark out and make a list of things that the little boy has passed through from the point he entered the fair till this point. And you can write a little summary of what happened in the story till now. The remaining part of the story we will do tomorrow and we will complete it tomorrow. So this much you try to read and understand. Okay. So we will wind up here. I hope you understood. When you read, if you find any word that you don't know the meaning of or any sentence that you didn't understand, mark it out and we can clarify it in the next class. Okay. So thank you for joining me and please be safe.